Now streaming. Okay. Welcome to Shootin' the Shillit with Karita. We're really excited about everything that's happening. I had to miss this week because we had two back-to-back live AMAs on Sunday, and I was out of town, so I was unable to host a Shootin' the Shillit this week on Sunday, but really excited about what's coming. I'm really honored to have our guest Sean Moloney on with us. I'll introduce you to him in a second. We just got a couple things to update you guys. I'm checking my list to make sure I got everything in order here. Okay, so quick Shillit updates. And I know Sean's really excited to hear about it too, because Sean is also a guest, but also a part of the Shillit family. So we're listed on CoinMarketCap, guys. That's really important. I know it's not tracked, it says untracked, and we're working on that. I don't know why they're doing that, but the cool thing is we're finally listed on there, and we're on the way to being tracked and all the good stuff. Okay, in that we're also listed on nomics.com. I just found out about these guys, which is great. So I'm empowering them by sharing with them today, because they have listed us on their listing, and we're actually listed with our token logo, and the chart, so which is really cool. Guys, the beta version is out. We have our testers testing it. They're giving us amazing feedback. We're so grateful for all of the people that are in our beta platform giving us all the great feedback. Our mobile version is not ready yet, so please don't go to the mobile version. It's not ready. But our desktop version is getting better and better every day. Gooder and gooder, better and better. One of my mentors used to say that. Anyway, another thing, guys, we have this week's sweep widget contest. Okay, last week we just airdropped our winners, and the other person that was you saw in our chat, we airdropped all of our winners. Here's the thing, guys. If you want to win, you got to participate, right? Simple. So to make it even better, because we know that some people don't have all of the social media accounts. We know that some people don't hang out on Twitter or YouTube or everything all that time. And that's okay. So what we've done is this week, we're going to for sure pick the #1 person who really makes an effort, and no cheating, guys. We know who you are. If you cheat, you're fired. Okay. We'll pull a Trump on you. So no cheating. But if you really want to win, participate. And all you need is only 50 points at least to be in the pool of randomly chosen winners. Okay. So sharing is caring, guys. The more you share the Shillit family, the more our value grows. As you can see, we're on a steady climb. Yeah, we've had a couple dips, and that is 100% okay, because our chart is healthy. Why? Because our project is healthy. Why? Because we don't like rug pullers. That's why we exist. We don't like honeypots. That's why we exist. We're here to help you in the crypto space. And speaking of helping you in the crypto space, this is why I have invited my dear friend, Sean Moloney, who is an amazing coach, educator, and just a really great stepping point for people to get into the crypto space. I'm also a student of Sean, okay? Because if you're not growing, you're dying, guys. You got to get educated. You always have to be growing and learning. And that means even if you have to start at the basics, like the basics, that's okay. A lot of people don't know where the MetaMask wallet is. They're like, what's a MetaMask wallet? They're like, what's Binance Smart Chain? You know, and that is okay. It is super okay to not know. And this is why we're co-creating and collaborating with people like Sean, because we want to help push people to get educated, to help grow, to get financial abundance. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you don't have financial abundance, if you don't know how to feed your kids at night, if you can't pay for that roof over your head, life kind of sucks. I know money doesn't buy you happiness, but it pays for everything else. Okay. So In saying that, I'm going to introduce you guys officially to Sean and get him to share a little bit about what he does and how it can help you in the crypto space. So, Sean, welcome to Shootin' the Shillit. We're excited to have you. And please tell us a little bit about you and your program and how you can help people.
Thank you very much, Karita. I will do that. It's great to be here. Great to be here.
Oh, and where are you from? Sorry, with your awesome accent.
I'm not going to tell you, you have to guess. Everyone has to guess. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm on the opposite side of the water from most people who probably in this community that I love, which is Shillit, and we live in the UK. Okay, I'm based in the UK, but it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter where you are in this space, which is quite incredible. And I took me a while to figure that out, honestly. I come from bricks and mortar. I come from property. I come from land. We come from manufacturing background and everything else. And we hit some challenges in 2008, like I think a lot of people did, Karita, and we had to look hard at the business and make a few changes, and we did all that. We survived, we get through, life goes on. But it never left me that we have this problem whereby I didn't understand, and still to this day most people don't understand, the difference between currency and money. And even when I was running business and responsible for employing people and buying up, real estate and everything else, I didn't understand the difference between currency and money, which was completely bonkers when I look back, because the purpose of the difference, the only difference between currency and money, is one very important factor, which Karita alluded to there. If you're feeling you've got more than money, a lot of that can be down to your purchasing power eroding faster than you can possibly keep up. In the UK, just today, in fact, tomorrow is the budget of the UK. They've just been prefacing it with some softness. Okay, this happens a lot in pre-budget from a government level, and they've just announced an upgrade to the national minimum wage. All right, and all that's actually doing is putting more pressure on the system to provide more currency to employed people who are in the problem in the first place of needing the minimum wage to be increased, because the purchasing power of what they're being paid in is falling every year faster than they can possibly earn, even if they're working 3 jobs. So this was a journey of discovery, and it's something that I didn't fully understand until probably a decade ago now, to be honest, but it was a hit right between the eyeballs. There's a couple of books, Karita, that that I endorse when I'm talking through people through my course, for example, which is a book. One of the books is The Creature from Jekyll Island. Okay, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Where's Jekyll Island? Well, it's an island off the coast of Georgia in the USA. And it was on the island that the Federal Reserve was invented, was incarnated. And that is the epoch we still live in. We still live in that epoch of financial management stroke mismanagement. And it's been all the way through to 1971 that it was left in some form of management stroke mismanagement. And then in 1971, the wheels completely fell off. And I don't know about you, Karita, you're probably much, much younger than I am, but the process is a given for my whole lifetime. For as long as I've been alive, we have lived in what's called a full fiat system, F-I-A-T. And again, people don't recognize that. They think it's a motor car made in Italy. Yeah. At the end of the day, what it is the backbone of currency. And it's that currency that is causing the challenges in most people's lives. And this is just the first world, Karita, let alone the 2 billion people in the unbanked parts of the world who haven't got access to a bank account at all. 2 billion people, nearly a third of the whole planet, by the way. So it's not good. It's very, very corrosive. It's causing a challenge in terms of all sorts of things, from life expectancy, mental health, people feeling despondent, people feeling disillusioned. It doesn't take much then for governments to pit us against each other and narratives to come about. Every year there's something to push up against to cause trouble. And it doesn't have to be like that. something that we're very proud of with Thrive Tribes and what we do at DBM, and Shillit actually is a great example of a vehicle on which this is manifest, is we're actually able to bring people together as a group for the greater good. I call it the new social welfare. Yeah, teach people to fish, put people on an objective of value that they can own, they can leverage, everybody wins, because we're basically taking ownership of assets that then go into utility and use case, and everybody takes a little bit of the income. Yeah.
I just wanted to sort of interrupt you for a sec and make a really good point that you just made there. Teaching people to fish.
Right.
Like that's a huge thing. And, you know, a lot of people are like, and I wanted to bring this up because a lot of people come into, especially, you know, the Binance Smart Chain pre-sale space, and they want to have that instant gratification, yet they're not willing to get educated to get the long-term passive income, because, you know, the difference with active, the instant gratification, the passive income is like, okay, I can pay my bread today. Oh, I can buy my house and go traveling, you know? So I just wanted to bring that up because you made a huge point. It's like, you know, teach them fish or give them a fish.
Well, it's the rub. It's the rub. So what are most people used to on a macro level? Increasingly in the latter half of the 20th century and the early part of the 21st century, very much used to having governments and bosses and banks pander and look after them in inverted commas. Okay, it's actually got nothing to do with people giving you fish on that level. They want to keep giving it you because they know in giving it you, they create most of the fees. The middlemen create their wealth by giving you the fish. The only counter you've got to that is to stand up at some point in your life and say, no, I need to understand what it is for me to be empowered. And the only thing you can do, Karita, as you full well know, is to stand up and get educated about what it is that's going to empower you. The challenge we've got, and we've had for a while, and it'll still continue for the next decade, unfortunately, is people have a lottery mentality. They have a entitled mentality. They think that, well, I'm not worthy even to be able to discover what I need. Therefore, I'll just take a punt. You know, we saw this back in 2016, 17 with Bitcoin. It was the first retail pump. It looks like a little tiny blip on the chart these days, but back then it was a massive deal. Bitcoin shooting up to $17,000. And it was huge because it was before that, it was bouncing around 3. And I remember it very well. And lucky we managed to hold on because it's an amazing thing to own a significant amount of an asset that shoots like that. And then it dropped down the other side. Now, why did it drop down the other side? Well, because the weak hands of the uninitiated, uneducated retail fraternity panicked. And then look at it now. It's a tiny blip. If they'd have just understood that it's got nothing to do with Bitcoin, it's to do with the technology Bitcoin is residing on, otherwise known as blockchain. And it's that gels everything together. And as long as you understand that, and you're actually buying digital property, yeah, you're not buying Bitcoin, you're not buying any number of different altcoins or BNB or Pancake or even Dogecoin today that's going through the roof again because Elon Musk has said so. It's nothing to do with that. It's all to do with the technology that underlines it. And what you're doing when you buy into digital assets, that's the other thing that people struggle with, Karita, is how can it be real? It's digital. Have you any idea how little amount of fiat currency is actually cash and notes and coins? It's barely 20%. The rest of it's digital. So what do you mean it can't be real? What are you spending on your credit card every day then? Is that real? The whole thing is just a token of ownership. That's what it is to own a digital asset. The key, though, is to understand what that token represents in real value to human beings, globally, by the way, on a demand and supply ratio. And it's not difficult to understand, really isn't, Karita, once you take the time to learn.
Yeah. And you know, and I'm really, really grateful that I was able to, you know, connect with you because even taking your courses, you know, like some of the things I already knew and some of the things I didn't know. And so it's really important to, you know, they say education is power. Well, knowledge is power. Well, depends on the knowledge or depends on the education that you're getting, right? So you could be super educated on something that is totally not going to make your life better.
Of course. And lots of
Yeah.
people spend a lifetime in that place.
Yeah.
But moreover, knowledge is only power when activated into action. So there's all sorts of things. And we talk about mindset, which is a big aspect of it. Karita.
Yes.
Skills. Okay, so get mindset first, then get skills. You need skills. Then you can deploy the mindset and the skills into systems, which is where Shillit comes in, and all the things that we're able to do to push people in front of leveraged positions in terms of ownership of value. Once you've got those three things down, mindset, skills, systems, income follows naturally. In fact, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
It's impossible not to create income once you get those first three things down. And what happens when you've got income and you're managing it properly, and you're starting to take responsibility, and you start to become your own bank, and you're taking full responsibility for security and passwords and everything you need to do if you're going to get to that level. What comes after income? Wealth.
Yeah.
Wealth. And I promise you, the first thing you worry about as soon as wealth starts knocking on your front door is not only to welcome it in, is to get it a cup of coffee and sit down and get comfortable. How are you going to keep it? How are you going to keep it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. Your mind shift goes from how am I going to get through this next month and next quarter,
yeah,
to how am I going to make sure I retain the ability to make sure we get through years of existence, even into the realm of legacy, which is when it gets really interesting.
Yeah. And that's where mindset comes back in, you know, like
Massively.
mindset is key to everything, you know.
Massively.
Like when we started this Shillit project, you know, especially when Alessio, and you know, you've heard my story in some of our Zoom tribe calls, right, is when Alessio asked me to be like project manager. It was like, what? You know, I'm not an expert in crypto. I'm not an expert. My father was a financial advisor for 30 years. Doesn't mean I am, right? No. So
well, that's probably not a bad thing. Not a bad thing, because financial advisor in the fiat system is very different. Yeah,
I know. Trust me, we've had conversation, my dad and I, but right. It's starting to get it. But that's the thing, was, you know, all mindset, and growing with the Shillit, and growing with the Thrive Tribes, and growing with, you know, the Digital Business Academy with you. It all comes hand in hand. It all starts with the mindset. And yeah, Raj just made a good point. Raj is one of our awesome members. He's like the meme queen, or king, not king, queen. Sorry, he'll kill me for that. the meme king. But you know, it was all about being rich, and being wealthy is definitely different, because you can be rich, but you know, the difference between being rich and wealthy is like night and day. It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. It is all about mentality. Just Google, if you don't already know, the average time that an average lottery winner will retain wealth.
I think it's a year.
Right? Because they go into it wanting to be rich. They don't understand what it is to own wealth. And this is part of the problem that is going to get increasingly challenging, but it's a nice problem to have, to be honest. As we navigate people through, we've done it for years now, lots and lots of people. One of the most pleasurable parts of my job these days, Karita, is letters and emails I get. People say, oh, Sean, that's so good. I've now got my child in that college instead of that college, and I've now been able to retire my parents. And, you know, that's when we know we're being successful, that we're taking people from here all the way to here in a way that they have the confidence to control and own. Yeah. And it doesn't happen unless you get the mindset right. Yeah. Honestly. And then the skills on top of that very quickly. The thing about Shillit is that it sits very nicely inside that philosophy as a system, because too many people, as you know, to come into this space only with that entitled employed mentality. I don't mean that in any disrespect, it's just the way it is. Yeah. If you live on the left-hand side of the cash flow quadrant, and you've only ever been used to people looking after you, if they come in with that philosophy, and they come in with a lottery mentality into the blockchain space, then they're going to buy all these coins. They're going to take a punt on Dogecoin. They're going to buy the shit coins. Yeah. What Shillit does is act as a comfort wall, like a barrier, a shield around that is well overdue, long overdue. Yeah. And so you can see how it all connects. Yeah. Because once people get into a rhythm of using skill to create active system success, guess what happens to the mindset? Yeah. It rockets. Confidence explodes. You're a good example of it. You've what did he say? You've stepped to the plate, you know, you've taken a decision, you don't feel worthy, but you're one day ahead of someone just starting out.
Yeah.
And that takes a certain type of personality and a certain type of confidence. So hats off to you. But every day, I've seen you grow in Shillit just in the last 3 months. Yeah?
Thank you.
And that's what it's about. If you can leave that breadcrumb for one other person behind you, then, and that's the new social welfare. That's what we need more of.
Yeah. And you know, that's one of the reasons why I started Shootin' the Shillit, because it started on a whim. You know, we were excited with the launch of our first token, and I went live on YouTube, and it was like, okay, you know, maybe I can help plant a seed in someone else because someone planted that seed into me. Yeah. And especially, you know, and this is why I had Moira as my first guest, especially as a woman in the crypto space. I know, you know, we
it's
need
more of you. Need more of you. Bring it on.
The feminine energy. Yeah. So, so it's all about creating that opening, that kind of door, window into the crypto space that people are so scared to get into because they're like, oh, that Bitcoin thing, you know, like I just had a text from a friend of mine. He lives over in Manitoba, and he's like, Karita, what are you using for your Bitcoin? You know, that was his question. And I'm like, dude, we need to talk. You know, I'm like, come check me out on the YouTube channel. Right. Because it's not just about the Bitcoin. The crypto space is like, it's a whole new galaxy.
It is. It literally is. And that's what we say. And again, I say this on my course right at the very beginning. It's got nothing to do with Bitcoin. Yeah. It's got everything to do with what Bitcoin represents. Yeah. And then that takes you down the discovery of the true value proposition of what blockchain is. And once you get that light bulb, utter light bulb, all you've got to do then is extrapolate and have a look at what the blockchain universe represents. It's huge, it's very, very daunting. So break it down, break it into solar systems, and then go into each of those solar systems, into projects, coins, businesses, otherwise planets, and have a look at which of them suit purpose right now in order of human adoption. And that's how you create leverage. Now, once you've done that a couple of times, it becomes relatively straightforward, because if you can make $10 a month, you can make $100 a month. If you can create $100 a month, you can do $10,000 a month. If you do 10,000, you can do 100,000. And I don't want to be flippant about it, Karita, but it is a case of understanding it right at its base, which is why we do a lot of workshops at DBM, simply based on what your friend asked you there. How do I set up a wallet? Where do I look after myself in terms of security and keeping myself safe? What's an exchange? Do that first. Don't even think about trying to jump into some shitcoin or get excited because some guy down the pub said, take a breath, come back, and then reach out to people like Karita, you know, and the rest of the team at Tribe Tribes and DBM, and just ask them what they did. The power is in numbers as well. The community is much stronger together. And that's also what blockchain is about. We connect ordinary people on an immutable super system. And part of that is to be giving back all the time, the way you're giving back right now, Karita. So it's a great thing. So we're very lucky. Great way to make a living. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. That's exactly what it's all about. And this is how we connected, is through community. Right. We connected, we got to know each other through the Thrive Tribes. And this is how Shillit was born too, through the community. Because we see a challenge, or we need to make solutions. We're all about creating solutions. And I just wanted to bring up, the community, especially in our Telegram group, just the Shillit community alone, it's tight, man. Like, we've got some epic people that we've met, we're making friends with, we're collaborating with. And the more that people share, people come in and invest into us, into the team, into the group, because it's not just about the quick gain you get. Yes, our token has a very beautiful growth. It's green, it's greener than it's red, which is great. But it's not just the value of the token. It's the value of the project. It's the value of the team. I work with amazing people, and we're always bringing in more amazing people. And the collaborations, like, collaborating with you, like I think almost every member of our team is taking a class with you right now, because we have the Shillit plus another guy class, which is fantastic. because we appreciate your education and we appreciate growing. And
it's all foundational stuff, Karita.
Yeah.
I mean, just to really give some clarity to what you were breaking down there, one thing I can absolutely assure you of is if value is there, price follows.
Yeah.
Value and price are not the same thing. People chase price. So Shillit's a great example right now. It will be bouncing around all over the place. It's a natural course. Don't worry about it. It's finding its feet. It's on both supply and demand. Price is something that you should not overthink. What you should really be focused on is the value. People will then come towards that value, and guess what happens? Economics 101 on a fixed supply coin with infinite demand, infinite demand, then you will only going to see increase in price. If that's part of the first objective, which of course it is, but then I look at it and I'm watching Shillit very closely because it has the potential to be an accelerator, which basically means that lots of people relatively uninitiated, not just because of Shillit Token, but what Shillit represents inside helping people with green, amber, red, and all the rest of it. Yeah. Don't be surprised how quickly it can shift. We got involved with coins over the past couple of years at airdrop level. You know, many of the coins that Shillit monitors are these like very new embryonic type coins. You know what we do, Karita, we're into big projects and stuff that we work in over 2 to 5 years. But Shillit does these very small, very relatively small ones. We've been involved with lots of those over the years. And we've seen coins go from a couple of pennies to $20, $30, $50 a coin. Imagine if you own 100,000 of those.
And I see that with Shillit.
Well, Shillit for the token in and of itself for sure, but also the platform that Shillit provides is going to have those little gems inside of it. So it's not all about chasing the price. It's about understanding that that very premise, that even exists and it's being safely put into the hands of others in value, means you get a net positive to Shillit in the first place, but lots of people have success stories. But the next thing you've got to think about, and that's why I'm watching Shillit closely, is you end up then with a lot of people, potentially, who don't know what to do with that newfound equity.
Yeah.
So what do?
They find Sean.
Well, they're more than welcome to come and hunt me down, because that's the thing. We've moved into that over the past couple of years, Karita. Yeah. What still upsets me to this day, probably more than anything else, is when people happen across and get lucky with, in other words, they've got a lottery win, and they make a little bit of equity, which in their life at the moment in time they're in is very exciting. You know, it can be tens of thousands of dollars. What do? They don't know what to do. So they sell it and they end up all the way back down the snake on the snakes and ladders board, right at the beginning, back in the fiat system, having to go again. Never, ever, ever, ever sell an asset. Never. Put the asset to work, do what you need to do to collateralize, and keep moving through the process. That's a whole different conversation for another day, Karita, but well worth having at this stage. So anybody listening to this realizes now's the time to get educated while that is transpiring, because as and when Shillit goes and any other tokens that you get involved with, use the time not just to wait and ride, use the time to drive and get educated. And that's really why I set DBM Academy up, Karita. That's why I set it up, for that reason.
Yeah. Well, and I really wanted to just shout out to you, because you have offered so much free education as well. You know, like I'm super grateful that I was able to participate in some of your free classes that you have. Like every Thursday you have on our crypto tribe calls, you come in and you give some free education, which I really want to empower people to come hop on to those crypto calls. And I will be placing all the links under here, this video, because it's all about sharing that education. And because of that, I was able to get to know Sean on a different level. And then I'm like, well, hell yeah, I'm getting into your course. I mean, it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg, and it's just investing in myself. And that's really, really important, because like you've said, education, you know, it's when you're getting that wealth, it's like, I've seen lottery winners, you know, they're like, oh, I just won $50 million. And then they're like working at Tim Hortons. I mean, I'm Canadian, so it's a very Canadian term, but then they're working at Tim Hortons 5 years later, you know,
It's so
we don't want
sad.
to create
It's so
that.
sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I do watch it every day in this space, and we see people
Yeah.
who get lucky and they don't know what to do. And honestly, that's why we do what we can to give back. I mean, it transcends money. At some point, it transcends money. At some point, when I do those 20 slots on my course, $150 for the full course, 20 people a month. Yeah. I mean, that's a $1,300 course easily. I do that on purpose. Just like we turn up every week at the Thrive Tribes community to just give a little bit back. Because we don't want to be the richest man on the street, do we? You know, richest man in Babylon, you've got to share it. And that's, again, what blockchain's about. It's a new social welfare. I call it, I actually call it it's decentralized collaboration, which sounds very strange thing to say. But
well, we are strange.
Yeah, well, you have to be a little bit strange in this space, don't you? But that's what it's all about. We don't want, no longer can we work with this collectivism of the East and the individualism of the West. There has to be a meeting in the middle here. And that can only be people powered, which is why we have to empower households. And why not do that on the blockchain? It's the best shot we've got in our generation.
Well, it's like my favorite line. We got it. It's the redistribution of the wealth to the masses, not the asses. So, but in all honesty, you know, it's like, I just saw a TikTok video yesterday, and it was really powerful, because the guy said Jeff Bezos has $700 billion. There's 7 billion people in the world. If he just gave each person $1 billion, he'd still have a gazillion dollars and we would all be wealthy. But no, that hasn't happened. You know, so if you look at the numbers, it's like, why can't people just share the wealth? And this, you know, this is what we want to do, is help give the opportunity for people to learn to fish. Because, you know, okay, if you share the wealth, and people will get, you know, there's a lot of negative towards that. But what I'm saying is, you know, as we learn to educate and help, you know, share the education, because a lot of people don't value free education. It's just like they throw it under the rug and they're like, nah,
right.
I'll go buy my lottery ticket.
Yeah, you've got to have skin in the game for sure. And what you said there about Jeff Bezos is absolutely true. And that's why we're waiting for bosses, banks, and governments to change that narrative. You'll die trying. You'll wake up one day at 83 and think, what the hell happened? What we do this a lot, Karita, as you know. What we look for is ways to basically get paid for everyday activities. We get paid right now on the blockchain for educating ourselves. We get paid for browsing on browsers like Brave instead of using Google Chrome. I get paid by the sun every day. Every day the sun shines in South Africa, I get paid. I live nowhere near South Africa.
Woohoo!
We have all these solar panel installations across there. It pays us in Ethereum. We get paid for playing. We have gaming softwares now that we utilize, and we get paid every day to play. We get paid to bank. We no longer use the traditional banking system. We use blockchain-based banking systems. It's #BYOB, be your own bank. I take the decision of where my capital is deployed. And when I want to go and buy ice cream, I buy ice cream from what I've paid myself from my own assets. I don't wait for the bank to give me a paltry interest, hoping I can go buy ice cream, or worse, having to give up buying ice cream because I can't afford it. You've got to sack the bank. Vote with your feet. Start to become your own bank. So the only way it's going to happen is for people to start to see the infrastructure. And there are projects coming very quickly now, Karita, that are going to compete with Facebook and LinkedIn and all the traditional social media platforms and Amazon. We're looking at blockchain on Amazon, okay, which isn't on Amazon. It's the blockchain equivalent of Amazon. So every time a product moves, it gets bought and sold, people in the infrastructure take a little bit of the revenue, okay? This is where it's so important to understand. This is coming, but it won't be as efficient and effective in people's lives unless people stand up and start to take notice. And that's why we do what we do every day. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, and one of the things I wanted to bring up is it's being consistent. You know, one of the things that
people have a problem with sometimes is not stepping up to the plate, not being consistent. I know I have that issue with many things, and it's just creating that new habit. So, you know, showing up, doing these videos, like for example, if I only have 5 viewers right now, I'm not worried about it.
No,
why? Because it's just sharing, it's putting it out there, it's creating that seed that plants, and we'll water it and grow it and share this wealth, share this knowledge, share this education. So
it's all you can do, and I'm a product of it. When I first started, my 2-year-old was crawling all over my back, and I was trying to move him out of the way. I was very on videos on YouTube and everything else. I did that for a couple of 3 years. I stuck at it. I stayed consistent. Next thing I know, I'm in front of Zoom calls with 1,500 people on it. You know, live. And on stages around the world, live. So it's just a case of building that out, but it becomes a passion in the end. I think it has become for you, Karita, which is great to see. And then it becomes a labor of love, and then the next thing you know, you're able to give back, but much more than just educating. And we've set up a DBM foundation now, where we're into the concepts of gifting wallets, gifting cash flowing wallets to charities. We don't any longer just give cash to a charity, a currency to a charity. Why do they keep having to chase more currency? Because they're having to keep up with the cost of what it is to keep alive as a charity, let alone the people who they are charities for.
And inflation.
Well, exactly. That's what it is. So what do? Well, we say to the charity, well, how about we gift you a means of ongoing evergreen cash flow? Now, they don't understand what the hell we're talking about, because they've not taken the time to study what it is that we know. But it doesn't stop us giving them the wallet. And after a few months, wow, Sean, this XRP keeps appearing in. What do I do with it? Well, what you do with it is and then they learn. And then next thing you know, they're holding forums and holding events at the food bank. So the people in the food bank then start to get educated about what it is to own assets, so they don't have to keep going back to the food bank. So the whole thing is just a movement of initiative and education, and we're very proud of it, Karita.
That's awesome. You know, that just reminds me, I was just at a friend's place over in the mainland, and he was telling me about this project that wants to collaborate with us Shillians and Thrive Tribers about creating a system for fresh water around the world that can be free and paid for with crypto.
Right.
And like it's when he was sharing this with me, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to share this with the team, you know? And it's amazing. I mean, the stuff we have, especially in the pipeline for Shillit and for the Thrivolution, the stuff we have in the pipeline, people who are like not sticking with us will wish that they stuck with us, is all I have to say about that. But whatever, you know, the paper hands can go, the diamond hands can stay. But it's so exciting. And it's not just about the money, you know, because people think, oh, you're doing this just to make money. It's like, no, I'm investing everything I have into Shillit. And people don't understand. They're like, oh, you probably got this huge one. I'm like, I'm not. Did I pay you, Sean, to come on here today? Did you pay me to come on here today? No. It's all about empowering each other and creating that system of give and knowing that somehow karma, universe, God, source, anything, whatever, will bring it back. And it does, every time. In abundance. Yeah.
Every time. Every time. If you give, you do receive. And that's what a lot of people who come into this space, that's why I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the network MLM brigade, because they'll come in under the auspices of encouraging people. If you speak to enough people, they're going to make some income. What you've got to do is give enough value, and the income follows. Okay, it's a very, very important difference. But what I love about the fact that we're able to leverage that type of marketing methodology in this space compared to if we're selling vitamins or muscle powder is the very premise, the very premise of gifting someone what it is to be educated about leveraged assets is enough for the average person. And then they're able to use that then to start to create a greater good from their home, their own home. A lot of people start with, kids and putting kids through college and all that type of stuff. And then they figure out they can give more and more and more before they know it, they're giving to the whole town. and the whole town for the whole county, whatever. And the whole thing builds out from there, to your point. And in the end, you do find yourself with those really interesting conversations about some water well needed in the middle of the Congo, you know? And my take on that is that's been 200 years of desperate need in that particular village because they've been pillaged, especially in this part of the world, okay? And what we can now do finally is use blockchain to go directly to the actual village. And anybody with internet connection, anybody with a laptop can actually start to create that situation. And it's happening. It's definitely happening. This is what's just gone on in El Salvador. This is what's happening now in Chile. This is happening in Brazil. It's moving across to Nigeria. All this type of thing is coming. So again, we're looking to be at the forefront of it, and the least we can do is give back.
Yeah. And I just wanted to, you mentioned a couple countries that we have teammates in, and it's really important that people understand we're a very global company. We're a very global organization. You're over in Britain. I'm in Canada. Sorry?
You are, and we're still talking to you. It's fine. You can don't worry about it.
And we've got half our team is in Brazil, and we've got our developer in Chile who's Italian. So it's all about the global aspect, because it's not about just us here now. It's about what we can do, because we are creating the future for our children, or if we don't have children, our friends' children. But if we don't do something now, in this space, and not be so damn selfish, and it's good to be selfish. But what I'm trying to say is, like, you want to look at the big picture. And this is what I love about our community and finding the solutions, because yes, we have to create wealth, not riches, wealth within ourselves. And with that wealth, you can help touch some other lives. And then with that creates the ripple effect, right? So and I wanted to, you talked about like the network marketing thing, and I've been there, done that. I mean, I sold the powders and the shakes, and I took them and I did all that thing. And the only thing that I left the shakes and the powders on purpose, because what I didn't like about it is that I was pushing something on someone to try to make self gain. In all honesty, it was, I'm helping other people, but it was all about me. So, the difference with what we're doing in the crypto space and with the education, it's not all about me. It's about how to really, truly, honestly help other people. And with that, it's a really amazing experience. The more you give, the more you get. And people really need to embrace that, because it's a beautiful experience. So
it's amazing. Position, leverage, choice. That's what it is. Yeah. And it is a symptom of an old-fashioned mentality from that industry, that they do tend to silo people, which does have the opposite effect of the giving approach we've just been talking about. Okay, so you've got to be very careful. But because what I like to say is the blockchain's our business. We don't have a business on the blockchain. So you're absolutely right, but it's okay. It's okay. People go through this at their own pace. There'll be people listening to this who are thinking we're talking complete Japanese right now. I just won't have any resonance. But that's
this was me over a year ago.
Well, and me exactly many years ago. I wrote off Bitcoin. I completely thought it was a scam. I did have no concept. I just wrote it off. But we live and learn. So it's been an absolute pleasure, Karita.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Sean, for coming on. I will make sure that your links are posted underneath this video. Make sure everyone subscribes. And if you aren't in the Shillit Telegram group, you want to get there, because we have fun there. So thank you, Sean, for coming on with us and spending this time. Have a great evening over there on your side of the world. And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday for our calls.
Perfect, Karita. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Ciao.